My name is Suzanne Quinney and I'm part of a small company called Appreciating People. We established ourselves a few years ago to use strength-based methods for training, organisational development and personal development. In 2010 I began some conversations with Steve Davis, the very innovative manager at King George's Hostel. We wanted to see what benefits using a strength-based approach could bring to supporting residents. We use the Appreciative Inquiry 5D process: define, discover, dream, design and deliver, or destiny. So to do that we worked first of all with the staff. I interviewed a number of staff and then we did a 2-day training for most of the staff. And then a few key staff decided they wanted to be part of the pilot and they worked with me to co-design the programme for the residents.
It changed my life. It really did change my life. I used to be negative about everything, absolutely everything. There was nothing you could say to me positive that I wouldn't turn back into a negative. And it taught me to see things in a different light.
It's helped me in a lot of ways, just being positive about things and start looking at things in a new light. Or I'm cutting down my methadone. I've been going to the dentist. Through drugs I've lost my teeth and stuff, and I wasn't paying attention to myself personally. But doing appreciative inquiry, it's just helped me to take things in a positive point of view. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Level of motivation to want to get up in the morning, want to have a bath, want to put on clean clothes, want to go out and do something positive as opposed to maybe just using substances. That's their drive, that's what they're doing, and they're taking what they've learnt on appreciative inquiry and applying that. I think that's what I'm finding quite, wow.
I think there was a great sense of coming together and a sense of equality which everyone really enjoyed. Both the staff and the residents got a lot out of the 2.5 days. And one of the staff said that she felt some of the residents had made more progress in those 2.5 days than they could have done in 2 years of key work support.
And appreciative inquiry is about working on people's strengths instead of concentrating on the weaknesses. And you sort of have a spiral, a vicious cycle of people going through that cycle. And it's about working on their strengths to break that cycle, which is very, very important. And you work with people's strength, having a goal, overcoming the challenges with your strength, turning people's lives around.
I started drinking at the age of 13 and a half. I left home when I was 13 and a half. I lived with a geezer when I was 13 and a half, so I was getting nonce and all that kind of shit. And I was in and out of hostels from I was 19, jail, all that kind of stuff. Being a pisshead. And just going to hostels backwards and forwards because I've never had a set home myself, only with my mum, you know what I mean? It changed me because it learnt to look at my inner and outer self. It brought up a lot of emotions, and I think it was good to get them out instead of bottling in. And that's what the problem was with, I think, about hostels, going backwards and forwards, getting kicked out of one hostel, getting moved on to another, getting kicked out, and then coming into this one. And having the opportunity to look at myself instead of other people saying, oh, well, tell us, like counsellors saying, well, like tell us what's wrong with you, it must be your past and all that. The opportunity come when we're having a session, and it all come back to me. And obviously, we all had our little breakdowns, we had our 10-minute out. Next thing, back into the room and we're getting on with it. And it's learnt a lot for me, it's done a lot for me by motivating me, and the self-esteem I'm getting at the moment is just like, it's still low because I've got a criminal record and I'm trying my best to get into a job, and you know what I mean? I'm pushing myself forward and to do anything possible.
They all made really good personal strides, reducing their substance intake, accessing education and training opportunities, starting to explore volunteering, hopefully leading to some employment, improving their emotional competence and personal resilience. Many of them made contact with family members that they hadn't spoken to for years, which felt like a great contribution to their future well-being as well.
It's focusing on the positives, not the negatives. And I think a lot of times when we work in in hostels, we always look at the negatives, crime, but not looking at the potential that people have. But what it has done for us, I think, is also we've looked beyond the addiction and look into the future. It gives you a sense of belonging and a sense of achievement.
I think the guys who were present today with us were guys we would not have guessed would have reached where they've reached this time in the year, this time in their stay. AI has worked because look at where those guys were before AI and look at where they are now after AI.
We've come back into the hostel and the residents and the staff are still applying the learning, and you can see every day, even after, you know, just being there for the 2.5 days, the residents, how they've appeared, the fact that they've made an effort. These are things that I haven't seen a continuous change in a client, but they're doing it and no one's really had to say anything to them.
The very dedicated King George's staff continued to work with the residents as well on their own initiative, delivering half-day and single-day appreciative inquiry events. They also developed an appreciative inquiry room, which they decorated and named in the hostel, which they could use for their training. Westminster Council were so impressed with the results of the work. They had funded the pilot and they decided to roll it out to other hostels in the borough. So Appreciating People were brought down again to train staff from 6 more hostels. We trained 18 staff and we're delivering 2 more residentials, and that work is also going really well. Well, in these tougher economic times, the financial benefits of reducing demand on public services can be really significant. To keep someone in prison for a year costs $45,000. To keep someone in a supported hostel space costs about $28,000 a year. So if people can be successfully supported into independent living where they don't need those services, then everyone benefits.